You may have heard of this game if you've ever browsed the Steam Point Shop before. It's called Milk Outside a Bag of Milk, Outside a Bag of Milk, and it's a surreal visual novel made by an independent developer. And if you've ever gotten curious about this game, you probably know about its prequel, Milk Inside a Bag of Milk, Inside a Bag of Milk. Everything I'm saying right now probably sounds like nonsense, so for context reasons, I'm gonna start this first chapter with Milk Inside a Bag, and then move on to the second one. I'm gonna do my best to explain, but like I just said, a lot of this game is surreal and up to interpretation, so if you really want the full, true experience, then I just recommend playing the game. I mean, it's like, what, $2? Plus it goes on sale pretty often, so I just realized I sound like a paid shill. Look, I'm not sponsored, just go buy the game, trust me, it's worth it. I know I keep saying there's only one game, the first one is more of a proof of concept, but it's still worth it. Alright, enough yapping, let's start this shit. Upon starting the game, it gives us the one simple task of helping someone buy milk. We start by first writing down her name. I promise that's gonna be important later. She rehearses her speech as most of us do when we order the same thing at McDonald's. We tell someone that we're going to the store, and at this point, we can see that we have two separate dialogue options, with the first one being a positive answer and the second one being a negative answer. When we ask her who she's talking to, she explains that seeing herself as a video game character helps her concentrate better. We then bring up that we were walking with one foot in the grass and one foot in the pavement, and tell her that she now has to undo all 52 steps. Why do we care so much? Probably autism, but we'll get to that later. After we help her rearrange the pattern of her footsteps, we finally make it to the store, where we then have a strange conversation with a customer that just keeps saying "oh" over and over again. For some strange reason, both of these games are scattered with the symbolism of both the letter O, the number 0, and circles. No one really knows why, but there are theories that we will get to at the end. Even when the game tries to explain what the circle means, it just does this. So after that, I guess, explanation, we then go back to conversing with a stranger that just keeps saying "oh" over and over again. After successfully breaking the cycle, we then continue our journey to buy some damn milk. After grabbing some milk, we finally get to the cash register, where the cashier is depicted as some otherworldly creature. The creature seems to only speak in simple words, but ultimately we're able to buy the milk and leave. We walk down a lonely road, the only road we've ever known, where we are then attacked by a bear. The bear turns out to be a truck that almost hit us because we weren't watching where we were going. Moving on as if nothing happened, we try to tell her that this isn't normal and that she has problems, where she then tries to break the fourth wall. Our character explains to us that she knows that she's in a delusion and that she's kind of just dealing with it. We're not exactly sure why she is the way she is, but she gives us a really big hint saying that her dad killed himself by jumping out of a window. She then explains that she's happy the medicine is working and that she hasn't had any incidents because she doesn't want to be embarrassed in front of whoever the reader is. While she thanks us, the player, for helping her, we then interrupt her by saying that she needs to go home right now. We finally get home and everything seems to be going normally until... was our mom. After we bring the milk home, she tells us to go to bed, and then the game ends. That was the good ending. When we go back through the game again and select all the negative options, we can get the bad ending, which looks like this. We simply get a game over screen where we are asked to try again. The main reason why this game is so short is because it was made as a proof of concept for a game jam. A game jam is basically a collection or a digital package of small indie games for the purpose of platforming smaller developers. If you've ever seen your favorite streamer play the DreadX collection, then you basically get the idea. Unfortunately, I couldn't track down what specific game jam Milk 1 was a part of, so if any of you guys know, please drop a comment. The second game is called Milk Outside a Bag of Milk Outside a Bag of Milk and serves as a direct follow-up to the first game. And just by looking at it, you can probably tell that this was made by an actual team. You can probably tell already because, for one, there's a longer soundtrack, and two, the cover art obviously isn't his art style. The main developer behind both of these games is a Russian man called Nikita Kryukov. We'll talk more about him at the end of the video, but for now let's just focus on one thing at a time. The game starts off with an animated cutscene. The cutscene itself gives us subtle references to Serial Experiments Lain and summarizes the plot of the first game. We select New Game and are immediately greeted by one of the girl's hallucinations. Quick side note, saying the girl and the main character is gonna get really repetitive, so we're just gonna call her Milk-chan because that's what the fans call her. After sprinting past the hallucination, she finally makes it to her room, where she's then greeted by another one. This time, it's a creature resembling her mother from the first game. From Milk-chan's perspective, it seems like the creature grabs her arm, sticks his finger in it, and ejects some type of venom. The venom then causes her to slowly black out. Before she's completely knocked out, the creature makes her repeat the phrase, "I'll never drink milk again." We then cut to Milk-chan brushing her teeth, as if what just happened was nothing more than her arguing with her mom. We then cut to a shot of her sink, which, personally, I think is wallpaper worthy. Anyway, we can see a bunch of pill containers lined up along the sink. Milk-chan says that she's never really thought of what the pills actually do to her, and after some hesitation later decides to not take it this one time. Rather than skipping tonight's dosage, she instead decides to throw each pill into the trash can, and chooses to gaslight herself by inventing a new medicine that heals the pain in her neck, hand, head, heart, stomach, and eyes, telling us, the player, that it's not just mental problems, she's hurting everywhere. Milk-chan then decides that she needs someone to talk to, and that's where us, the player, or the medication, comes in. This is where the game starts. We tell her that we're only supposed to meet once a day, and she tells us that she only brought us here to lighten the mood and that it's okay. That sounds familiar. Anyway, she insists that she only brought us here to give her company and that she doesn't actually need us anymore. If we question her if that's really true, she then gets upset and then we tell her to go wash her face. Look, I know I could skim over a lot of these details and nothing would be lost, but I think these CGs are really gorgeous and I need an excuse to show them off. After calming her down, we then ask her why she threw away the pills, and Milk-chan answers by telling us that she thought she could live on her own without them. She just wanted to be normal, which personally I think is understandable. I mean, who here that has to take medicine hasn't thought that way? The gaslighting is starting to wear off. The pain is slowly coming back, and we're starting to fade away. Distressed by the pain and the thought of being alone again, Milk-chan then decides that taking her medicine is the right call. As she lays down on her bed, she begins to calm down, asking us to stop yapping and attempting to organize her thoughts. She has a hard time doing this, so we give her the idea to imagine her thoughts as insects. She gets annoyed at the flight patterns of her thoughts, which are now fireflies, and lashes out at them, causing them to scatter. We then tell Milk-chan that lashing out at them was a little much, and that acting unstable in public doesn't look good. Milk-chan changes her mind about her silence and admits that she actually does need our help. She asks us to help her find the fireflies, and we ask her what she was thinking when she was laying down. And here we have two options. Option 1 is complete silence, and option 2 is that's the thing, I have no idea, this is weird. Selecting option 2 locks us in the first out of 5 different endings you can get in the game, with the first one being dubbed the choke ending. You'll see why in just a bit. Yeah, sure was. After having an episode, Milk-chan seems to immediately block out what just happened. Milk-chan insists on hunting down the fireflies, but refuses to move any of the objects in her room. To do this, she decides to switch the game's genre from a visual novel to a point-and-click adventure game. Because we selected option 1, we're pretty much locked into this first ending, but if you went with option 2, then I would tell you to save at this part, because each ending depends on the order in which you click on the bags. Don't fret, it's really not as complicated as I made it sound. Alright, let's get to the hard part and go over each of the items. The order in which you go through them doesn't really matter. The endings really depend on which combination. Again, it's not as complicated as I'm making it sound. Clicking on the items will trigger dialogue from Milk-chan, but most of it is small talk, so we're just gonna go over the important stuff. There's only 2 items that don't trigger dialogue, that being 2 radios. When you click on them, they play what at first appears to be distorted music. Upon further research, I found that it's actually just a distorted Russian bread commercial. To the left under her sink, there appears to be a pile of trash or boxes. However, it seems like it's just glitched out and you can't click on it. Once we found all the fireflies, and yeah, I know I'm jumping around a lot, but trust me, it'll make a lot more sense later. Besides, it doesn't really matter now since we're locked into the choke ending. After a bit of overthinking, Milk-chan decides that she's tired and wants to go to bed. We suggest that she goes out on her balcony to get some fresh air, but she declines. She says she doesn't want to because she thinks someone might be watching her. And this is where an important decision has to be made. We have 2 options. We can either stay here or we can go outside anyway. Going outside will help us trigger a different ending, but because we're locked into the choke ending, we're just gonna stay inside. Before going to bed, Milk-chan remarks that she just wants to be done with the pills, because obviously nobody likes having to take pills. However, our entire existence is dependent on her taking the pills, so when we question her about it, she seems unsure about whether she wants to go through with that. Before going to bed, Milk-chan says that she has a small favor to ask of us, but then she hesitates and then forgets to ask us the favor. Milk-chan then gets in her sleeping bag. She tells us that it's been a very long time since she's ever had a dream. You'll see why this is important later. We tell her a bedtime story, and then she finally goes to sleep.
I wake up on a wooden bench. In front of me lies a narrow, dimly lit alley, an awfully familiar road. Where could I have seen it? I hear a voice coming from the side. I turn around and see a boy with a weird expression on his face.
You're late.
Who are you? The boy blinks in bewilderment.
We're not going anywhere like this. Try again.
He takes a very deep breath.
You are late.
I stare at him confused. He stares back, also confused. Sorry? He nods, satisfied.
See? Much better. Do you have a name? My name's Tresca.
I give the brat an evaluating look. He's so young, yet already coming at me with questions like that. None of your business. And besides, will anyone tell me what I'm doing here?
Hey, that's rude. It's not like there's anybody else here besides me. Haven't they told you anything? I know everything there is to know for one.
About what?
You're obligated to escort me to the store.
Tresca says that and strikes a victory pose. No way I'm doing that.
You do understand that refusal is futile.
Well, aren't you full of yourself?
I'm serious. I'm not the one who decided that. Do you think I'm delighted by your company?
He's weird, constantly shifting between happiness, sadness, loudness, and silence. He's a wacko and his name is stupid.
Are we going or what?
You can go, and I need to think.
I'd be happy to, but I don't know the way.
Tresca puts on a cunning smile. I bite my lip in frustration. I'll be honest with you, I don't like you. He simply busts out laughing in reply.
I do like you though.
He then grabs my hand without hesitation. I don't even have time to retort.
Lead the way.
Our trip to the store went fine, if not for the fact that Tresca was walking faster than me. And on the other hand, at times he stopped abruptly and went backwards, studying the ground underneath his feet. In the end, the trip took longer than it should. After reaching the store's doors, we are greeted by a sign. We're closing in 20 minutes. Who had the bright idea to indicate their working hours in this way?
They probably have special staff for this, someone who runs to change the sign every 5 minutes. It's convenient.
Are you joking?
Yeah.
You're so annoying.
It's much better than being boring. How old are you anyway?
None of your business.
Ah, and what's your name?
None of your business. I was ready to slap the living hell out of that brat, but a scary-looking man suddenly appeared behind the glass. He's holding a cardboard sign that says, "We're closing in 15 minutes."
Let's go. What are you waiting for?
Huh? Oh, yeah. After another round of going across the long row of canned products, we realize that we're lost. I can't believe you don't know where they sell milk. Maybe we should ask somebody for direction?
Sure.
Hey, wait up. Tresca lets go of my hand and walks confidently towards one of the few store's customers. That person is standing with their back to us, studying something on the shelf.
Hello, can I
can't hear neither the second part of his question nor the reply he gets, but my good-for-nothing friend freezes in place, looking at the customer straight in the eye. I hurry towards them.
Is he yours?
The customer talks to me. He speaks with disgust while wearing a scornful expression.
If he's yours, please get him away from me.
Yes, I'm sorry. I grab Tresca's hand and lead him away. He's still looking at the customer, his mouth ajar and eyes popped out. He's also shaking. Only when we turn around the corner, Tresca calms down. What was that?
I got so scared. He said,
What?
"No, not again."
Suddenly, Tresca starts screaming like crazy. I cover his mouth with my hand. His face is burning. He's crying. Can't you act normal?
You don't understand.
Of course I don't. I don't understand anything. Annoying other people is still wrong. Though, this is something you don't understand, it seems.
You're mean.
Who, me? Tresca pushes me away and runs off. Drat. At the edge of my vision, I see the store staff hanging a new sign on the door. There you are. I meet Tresca at the cash register. Before that, I managed to visit the milk department after finding out wherever it was.
Hey you, move!
I hear an angry voice coming from the other side of a long queue that has formed after Tresca. I squeeze through towards him. What happened? The boy doesn't respond. He just looks at his feet and snips. The cashier towers over him. There's a bag of milk between them.
Is, he yours?
Yes.
Just leave him at home next time.
People in the queue nod in agreement.
Pay for the goods, please.
Yes, of course.
And the waiting fee.
What?
You heard me.
I did, but that's unheard of. Tresca starts giggling all of a sudden.
And for the fact that your son is a retard, too.
But...
You heard me.
You know what? In a fit of rage, I throw a banknote to the cashier, a much higher value than needed, even counting all the stupid fees, then grab the bag of milk and turn around on my heels. We're leaving, Tresca. We spend the whole trip back in silence. At some point, we end up turning right towards a gas station. There, Tresca finally breaks his silence.
Do you like ice cream?
No.
Okay.
I look at the boy's face. A light flickers in his eyes for a brief moment and then it goes out.
You know,
He turns away from the path and walks straight towards the highway with determination. I stare at his back, confused.
it seems like you're not helping me at all.
A new playful light flickers in Tresca's eyes.
Like I've already said, this is just one out of 5 different endings, and there's still a lot of questions that we need answers for. So we start the game all over again because I forgot to save, and now that we're back here, we can finally do more exploring. In order to get the second ending, the phone ending, we'll need to click on our cell phone, which is right down here. The pile of boxes is still glitched out, but given the dimensions of the boxes, I'm assuming that they're milk cartons, which would make sense, seeing as our main character has an aversion to milk for some reason. We can see some blank pages on the wall. When we click on them, Milk-chan insists that they're pictures of her best memories despite being blank. When we ask her why they're there, she just says that they're covering up the cracks in the walls. Also hanging on the wall, we can see a backpack. Milk-chan says that it just has books and pens inside. We remind her that she never graduated and that she doesn't really need to have school supplies, especially since she never even graduated. When we ask her about it, she brings up a memory of when her dad took her home from school, which at first glance seems pretty normal. However, if you've been paying attention to Milk-chan's behavior, then you know that she's anything but normal. So we ask her about it again. When we ask her about it again, she has a new detail stating that her father says she needed to grow up and that she never grasped what that really meant. After this, we have the opportunity to ask her again. This time, she adds a new detail. She says that her dad dragged her out of the school while biting and scratching, and that the teachers didn't interfere because they were just used to it. She then says that when they got in the car, they drove home in silence, contradicting what she just said. However, given that she has voices in her head, i.e. us, the second iteration of that story may have been real to some extent. Just because we feel like it, we can ask her again. Instead of repeating the story, Milkchain just says that her dad bought milk on the way home. She contradicts herself again, saying that her mom wasn't home and that she hates milk and her mom. We eventually find another firefly hiding inside the backpack, and we continue our mission. After going through the motions and ignoring some throwaway dialogue, we end up clicking on what looks like medical notes next to her mirror. We notice the handwriting is different, and she says that her mom wrote it. We tell her to thank her mom, and then she screams at us. We find the next firefly and continue our mission. We come across a notebook. Milkchain says it has been used that often because then she'd run out of pages. She says she doesn't want to have to buy a new one because then she'd have to travel farther, acknowledging that going on a milk run was bad enough, as seen in the first game. We ask her why she can't just ask her mom to get one for her, but she doesn't seem to register what we just said. Milkchain investigates the notebook. She's hesitant to look at the older drawings, but then a gust of wind starts flicking the pages. It lands on the first page, and Milkchain starts getting worked up about looking at it. We tell her to calm down and just look at it, and she eventually finds that there was a firefly there. This isn't necessary for any of the endings, but if you click on this alarm clock, we can trigger some extra dialogue that can help us learn more about Milkchain. She mentions that she's sleepy and decides to do some exercises before going to bed. We then specifically ask her if she remembers any of the exercises that she was taught. This kind of stood out to me, so when I googled it, I found out that apparently regular exercise can help with depression and anxiety, both of which Milkchain expresses traits of. Sorry, I know it's just a game. I didn't mean to get all Reddit psychology here. Anyway, she does the warm-up and then we can end the search. Anytime you finish searching, Milkchain's dialogue is always the same, so we can skip this part and just get to the dream.
Hello, thank you for choosing our pizzeria.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do these fake ass voices. It was funny in the first dream, but I'm actually tired of doing it. You know, this place is so empty, though I don't feel particularly good or bad because of it. I'm all alone, but at the same time it feels like I'm not. There's a lot of thoughts in my head. They always keep me entertained. I can create a whole world with them. I'm sure I'll be able to fill the void around me if I try hard enough. Although, no matter how much I think, my surroundings don't change. Yes, things happen in my head, but they never left its premises. And it's not like I try to suppress them. Maybe they were afraid to come out.
What kind of pizza would you like to order?
Anyway, there's so much space in my head that could be put to good use. So every thought would make a senseless and merciless circle in my head, destined to go back to where it started. But there should be an end somewhere. You can't wander around forever. What do you think? I know it sounds scary, but it's not scarier than constantly existing among the void. This place is safe, and nothing bad will ever happen here. Nothing good will ever happen either, though.
Please note that we have a special offer right now, 3 pizzas for the price of 2.
Yeah, there's probably nothing good in having the same thoughts over and over. What's the point in having them anyway? I could have escaped from here, but I feel like my thoughts aren't helping me at all. They should be ashamed, probably. It's nobody's fault that I can't even see a door here. I would have had it easier with one. I tried to find it. It turned out to be a waste of time. No matter where I look, it's not looking good, pun not intended, and that strips me of the last bit of hope for salvation.
We also have a discount program for our new customers you can learn more about on your account page.
Don't you think that me being here is also a waste of time? What's the point in that? I can just keep on thinking, and even then my thoughts are as meaningless and empty as everything else. Does it mean that I'm not filling the void, but I'm a part of it? Then why should I feel anything? Why should I know that I exist? Although I'm not even sure about that. This place is always neither cold nor warm, it's neutral. But at the same time, if I think about warmth, I feel warm. Maybe this world corresponds to my thoughts. I wouldn't want to admit that I'm completely empty. I'm not the reason everything disappeared, right? Can't I just adapt and get used to having nothing around me since I can't do anything about it?
Are you ready to make your order?
Yes, that's right. I shouldn't care. It's empty here, and it makes me feel neither good nor bad. I'm all alone, but at the same time it feels like I'm not. There are a lot of thoughts in my head. They always keep me entertained. I can create a whole world with them. This place is safe, and nothing bad will ever happen here. Nothing good will happen either though. Me being here is a waste of time. I don't feel the void, I'm a part of it. This strips me of the last bit of hope for salvation. I shouldn't care. It's empty here, and it makes me feel neither good nor bad. It's nobody's fault that I can't even see a door here. What's the point in having one? I feel like nobody's helping me. They should feel ashamed. I wouldn't want to admit it, but I'm all alone here. I can't do anything about it. Please note that we have a special offer right now. 4 pizzas for the price of 2. I don't care that this place is empty. Do you hear? I feel neither good nor bad. I'm all alone. My head is full of thoughts. They eclipse the world around me. This space is pretty cramped, but at least it's safe. Even though I'll never feel good here. Does that mean existing is a waste of time? I need to decide, and my thoughts will help me. They'll lead me to the exit, and I'll be able to feel proud of myself. I'll be able to save myself. At the same time, I don't really care anymore. This place is empty, but it makes me feel neither good nor bad. I'm alone, but my head is full of thoughts, a whole world one might say. If I try hard enough, it'll be able to fill the void around me. Still, no matter how much I keep thinking, my surroundings don't change. Yes, something happened outside of my head, but what was it? There's not enough space for my thoughts. It's already filled with something else. Even if there's nothing around me, I'm still here. And my head is full of thoughts. If I try hard enough. So the world isn't empty after all. I can't see anything.
Session timeout. Preview of the page.
The dialogue in this dream reads out more like song lyrics, with repeating phrases and words that can be left up to interpretation. I like how it handles themes like depression without being pretentious or over the top. Alright, time for the third ending. Everything is fine. Don't touch the phone, collect all 5 fireflies, and don't trigger the schizophrenia cutscene. Basically, just play the game as fast as possible. Another terrible morning. Bro, why is my face always so stupid? I wonder what the others at school think. Well, it's not that I care too much. I just don't want to be branded a loser on my first day. Cheer up, there's nothing wrong with looking different. That's not what defines you after all.
Hey, hurry up.
Yes, Mom. Another terrible morning. Bro, why is my face always so stupid? I wonder what the others at school think. Well, it's not that I care too much. I just don't want to be branded a loser on my first day. Cheer up, there's nothing wrong with looking different. That's not what defines you after all.
Hey, hurry up.
Yes, Mom. Another terrible morning. Bro, why is my face always so stupid? I wonder what the others at school think. Well, it's not that I care too much. I just don't want to be branded a loser on my first day. Cheer up, there's nothing wrong with looking different. That's not what defines you after all.
Hey, hurry up.
Yes, Mom. Alright, I'm gonna cut this one short. The entire dream is the exact same dialogue but with different faces. This is obviously a joke ending that might not necessarily mean anything. There's not much else to say about this, so let's move on. Is anyone there? In order to get this ending, don't collect the phone, don't trigger the schizo cutscene, don't collect all the fireflies, trigger the full laptop dialogue, and go to the balcony. The balcony scene's the only one I haven't showed you yet, so we're gonna go ahead and look at that. Milk-chan says she wants to sleep. We suggest going out on the balcony. For some reason, this triggers a mild panic attack. When she refuses, we ask her why. Then she says she feels like she's being watched. And here we have 2 options. We know what happens when you click the first one, so we click the second one this time. She says yes, and now we can finally go outside. We see the rest of her apartment, which strongly resembles a panopticon. By the way, here's the full CG for this scene in case you need a new wallpaper or something. Anyway, it seems like we're the only ones that seem to acknowledge the surreal nature of her complex. As Milk-chan is trying to avoid looking down, she can't look up because the structure is a giant tube, which means that the end is a circle, and circles are bad for some mysterious reason. Milk-chan leans over the rail and imagines herself falling. She tells us that her best friend was someone she met online, and then this is their username and profile picture. She tells us that making friends with them was disobeying some kind of rule. We ask her what she's talking about, and she says that she could tell us, but doesn't want to, stating that explaining stuff just isn't easy for her, and that she'd rather rot in bed and never talk to anyone. Gee, imagine if real people thought like that. Anyway, we get her back on track, and Milk-chan explains that she didn't believe that her best friend was even a real person. She tells us that she opened up to her friend only for him to attack her with bots. She tells us that she feels like she's being watched no matter where she is, whether it be through the internet or someone from an adjacent window, and that she just wants it to stop. Before she can go into detail about it, we reach the end of her 2 minutes of free fall. Luckily, this scenario was hypothetical, so we go back inside. Milk-chan says that imagining scenarios like that is ridiculous. Almost as ridiculous as milk outside a bag of milk.
Guys, she said the thing.
The rest of the dialogue is about the same as the other endings, so we go through the motions, put her to bed, and start the dream. I wake up lying on the cold floor in the center of a cramped room. I look around without standing up. There's no furniture, just naked walls and a single door. I can hear muffled sounds coming from the other side. Scary sounds. I hug my knees and wrap myself in my sweater like a blanket. It's no use, I'm chilled to the bone. The room is pretty spacious, but I still can't shake the feeling that I'm trapped inside of a suffocating casket, and the faint blue glow that sneaks in through the keyhole only adds to that feeling. Do I want to know what's outside? As if on cue, an inhuman roar comes from the other side of the door. It becomes louder and louder, more and more distinct. With every passing second, somebody or something is getting closer. I curl into a ball, trying to take up as little space as possible. Maybe I can become invisible, or become smaller in some miraculous way. In the meantime, the howl becomes unbearably loud, but only for a moment, then it sheepishly backs off until I can't hear it anymore. I finally decide to stand up. After I do that, I hear another strange sound. It's coming from right above me now. The ceiling moves upward, squeaking. Small debris is falling on my head. I squint a little, then raise my hand trying to touch the ceiling, but it suddenly starts to rise quicker and instantly disappears into the darkness. I'm not in a casket anymore. Well, it wasn't exactly a casket now. It was a well in the form of a casket. The room becomes darker and colder. I'll have to do something at this point. Hours pass. I frantically run from one wall to the other, delirious. The walls run away from me, making the already spacious room even bigger. In the end, I stand amidst darkness, and only the door is watching me with its eye. I kept purposefully avoiding it. I could sometimes hear horrifying rustles and howls on the outside. However, now I don't even have a choice anymore. I slowly come up to the door and reach out towards it. As expected, the door also moves away from me. I continue moving forward with my hands stretched out. I don't want to lose the only source of light in this pitch black darkness. At some point, I get tired of sneaking up on the door like it's some wild animal, so I lunge at it, trying to grab the handle. However, at the last moment, the door whizzes away and I fall to the cold floor. Unable to keep my balance, it hurts. Stupid door. Stupid, nasty, cursed door. I hate you. I hate you. I scrum at the top of my lungs. I finally let out all the despair that I had bottled up. I slowly realized how terrible the situation I ended up in is. No. I don't stop screaming for a moment because I'm scared to end up in complete darkness. If the reality around me disappears, my twisted imagination will take over, and the realest thing I have right now is my voice.
Hey, Uncle Hero.
A voice coming from the other side of the door. I'm here, come closer. I scream thrice as hard as before. I scream until my throat hurts, until my ears start buzzing. My biggest wish right now is to keep in touch with that person, whoever they are. I rush toward the door, stumbling on the way. I keep running for a minute, for 10 minutes, but the door doesn't move an inch closer. At the same time, the distance between us hasn't grown either, which means I'm matching its speed. I just need to make one final push. I gather the last bit of strength I have and push my legs off the ground. The jump feels like an eternity. I stretch out my hand, almost touching the scratchy wood. I dive face first into the ground with ridiculous speed. I slide at least 30 more feet like that thanks to the inertia, leaving behind a bloody trail. My hand is still outstretched, trying to grab empty space. Tears stream down my face, making the numerous scratches burn. I try to wipe them, but I scream and yank my hand away the moment I touch my face. My lips and nose are now a mushy mess.
Somebody help.
The other side of the door is completely silent. The silence reigns for an excruciatingly long time. However, at some point the silent torture ends. I try to reply, but stifled whimpers come out my throat instead of words. Yes. Holy shit, I am not winning an Oscar for that. I stand up from my knees despite continuing to cry. I take a couple of deep breaths and start running again. I keep running for hours. I feel like the door is closer to me by an inch or two now. I almost let myself stop for a rest at that thought. I can't rest. I'll catch up to it sooner or later. The voice on the other side of the door keeps asking me how I feel. I let out heavy, ragged breaths and reply. I'll fall from exhaustion if I utter a single word. Still, I'm thankful to them and don't want to become silent. After another hour passes, I barely scratch the handle with my nails. I'm almost there. I'm so scared. Why aren't you doing anything? Why are they doing this to me? Don't they understand how painful this is for me? Almost there. You're scaring me. Go away. Rage fills my brain. I ignore the pain in my knees and channel all my strength into one final jump.
No, go away.
I finally grasp the handle and open the door. Blinding light hits my eyes. I lose the ground beneath my feet and start falling. I'm lying face down in the grass. I smell water, earth, and the dampness of the night, and grass, of course. The wind tickles the back of my head. It howls and jumps around restlessly. Lying down like this is unpleasant and rude when nature is so alive around me with sounds and pretty colors, I'm sure. I stowed up full of anticipation. I see an endless field, a clear sky without a single star, and a pale moon somewhere very, very far away. I shake my head and try to focus my eyes on anything, but to no avail. My surroundings are just too vast. By the way, I'm pretty sure the ambience is just some guy blowing into his mic. I feel dizzy. Bam! I'm lying in the thick, wet grass again, but this time I'm looking at the darkness of a night sky instead of just darkness. Is there any real difference though? The wind howls. It's clearly upset, but what can I do about it? I hear an indiscernible echo coming from far away. A wolf or something else. Doesn't even matter? I'm in the grass, nobody can see me. The echo draws closer and closer. At some point, I realize it's not a wolf, it's a skinwalker. I jump up and start turning my head in panic. Where's that sound coming from? I didn't say it out loud, but I got an instant reply. Hey, I can hear you. My voice runs across the field, mixing with the rustle of the grass and the howls of the wind. It feels like it's almost about to be absorbed by them, but... Hey, where are you? I can't decide where I should run to, or if I should run at all. Somebody clearly wants me to find and help them. Maybe they're hurt. The grass tickles my heels while I drag my feet in the direction where I think the sound's coming from. It's just, there's not a single tree or stone around, only an endlessly wide field. I hear a resounding, painful scream. I shut my eyes and cover my ears. I suddenly feel scared. The screams turn into a cry. I carefully raise my head, still scared to death. Somewhere very far away, among the thick grass, I spot a silhouette. Just a small black spot, but... Hey, I can see you! The silhouette doesn't move, but the sound is definitely coming from his direction. No, it's not a scream. More like a whisper or a wheeze. Are you hurt? No reaction again, just muffled sounds. Maybe it's just the wind going mad, and the black spot is just a stone or a tree. I walk away disappointed. 100 steps, 200 steps, then I turn around. Surprisingly, the spot hasn't become smaller. I start jogging. The grass is no longer tickling me. It's whipping my ankles, leaving a cut. The feeling of panic and unexplainable dread grow inside me. A stone, a tree. Why the hell is this field so endless? I don't turn around anymore. I know it's chasing me. The sounds reaching my ears become even stranger, louder, and more distinct. The wind's bullying me too, huh? Isn't that right? That's the case, right? Finally, I stop. I ran out of breath. I'm at the brink of dying. At least I think so. The horrifying voice is coming from right behind me. I turn around instinctively and for some reason try to shield my face, but end up losing balance and falling to the ground. The grass replies with a nasty cackling rustle. I've had enough. I spring up. The silhouette is still there at the same distance as before. It's standing there, menacingly, without moving an inch. I'm scared here, you know. Why don't you do anything? The silhouette trembles and then starts slowly gliding towards me, followed by new sounds, wheezes, moans. Fear shackles me. I can only stand behind and watch the approaching black spot. My lips are parched. I speak in a voice I don't recognize. You're scaring me. Go away. After that, the spot expands rapidly, and in the blink of an eye, most of the sky in the field is consumed by the sticky, cold darkness. Paralysis finally lets my body go, and I immediately sprint away. I run so fast that the grass turns into a dark green mush under my feet. I slip up, fall, run again. No, 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 no. No, go away! An unknown force turns my head with a crunching sound, and the darkness consumes everything. I wake up on the cold floor in the center of a cramped room. I look around without standing up. There's no furniture, just naked walls. If you go back and do the entire balcony scene again, then you can get an extra bit of dialogue. However, I tried this like 3 times and I couldn't get it to work, so I guess we'll just leave it at that. Staircase. Don't trigger the choke cutscene. Don't collect the phone. Don't collect 5 fireflies. Don't go to the balcony. I wake up and immediately lose consciousness from the horror. A thin metal stairway snakes around the giant column, disappearing into the darkness. I press myself into the cold wall and pray I don't freeze into it. This feeling. I know I spent a couple hours or days here, but I don't know how high the column is. I don't know whether I'm going up or down. 1 billion pounds of concrete and 1 million miles of emptiness. It's impossible to stay sane when you're near cosmic numbers like that. Looking at them, touching them, even thinking of them makes me feel unimaginable horror. It's just a matter of time before my short term here will end. My mind will melt and my body will turn to dust. The wall's coarse surface scratches my face. The steps under my feet hum from the wind, eager to escape the concrete's clutches and dive into the abyss along with me. But I'll stay here. I'll stay here without going anywhere. I won't even open my mouth. My every word will be swallowed up by the abyss. I won't take a single step. Why would I? To find out where the stairway abruptly ends? It's all meaningless. Many units of time pass, but I'm still unmoving. My whole body is trembling. But then I realize it's the whole space around me that's trembling. It can't wait to destroy me. Maybe I should gather my will and at least turn my head. That thought doesn't stay in my head for long. It's torn out with inhuman force. Unaware of what's about to happen, I slowly turn my whole body without a squeak. No, this is not what I wanted. Don't. Amongst the silence sings a lonely colossus, unmoving until the music stops. The bridge across the dark abyss cannot be seen. Oppressive, thick, sticky air drives itself into my ears, silencing my thoughts with a haphazard string of words, while I watch the scene before me unfold. Hundreds of giant concrete structures, just like mine, spread in tidy rows endlessly in all directions. Stairways wrap around them like vines. There, at the end of this world, there's a person smiling. This world still exists, but all that makes it both exist and not. I tried to erect my mind block, but to no avail. My brain is at the mercy of the super creature. A moment passes and I realize that my body doesn't belong to me either anymore. My legs start moving on their own. The only thing I can do is choose the direction. Up, down, or... The crowd notices blood on Wazik's hands. He runs away. Mendel appears. He has nothing human about him, apart from his excessive grace and hidden elegance. He walks out to the center of the stage. First act begins. Foreign thoughts become even more incoherent. There's less and less space for my own. Do you feel the connection to your body clearly, or does it still cause confusion and fear? If you've been living through that fear a lot recently, how did it manifest exactly? Answer honestly. Don't hide anything. I decide to descend. You have a sneaking suspicion that something is wrong because your path has changed. Maybe you started talking in a wrong way or made some sort of mistake. If so, start getting used to your new life. Try creating imagery that would instill the feeling that everything is as it should be, and with time, will create a new order inside you. I don't doubt that you're going through some hard times, but you have to make sacrifices, grow up. Only then, you'll be able to obtain the meaning of life. Do you get it? Try that if you find it important. Every passing day is a precious gift. If you share a piece of that gift with the world even once, it'll seem like a speck of dust. Do you get it? No, I'm sorry, I won't get that then. Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? Yes, even you get it. When you notice how people look at themselves in the mirror, when you look at your own reflection and realize that it exists in reality, do you understand how exactly it exists? As far as Easter eggs go, if you go in the game's files and you open the archive.rape file and you find something called telif.rapey, yeah, I know, freaky ass file formats. Anyway, you can find some unused dialogue that was written in Russian. There's just one problem, it's Russian. And I stopped watching Alya sometimes hides her feelings in Russian after episode 5. Luckily, some guy on the Steam Guides page made a rough translation. I'm not gonna read the whole thing because it seems like this dialogue was cut for a reason. While we're on the topic of cut content, I did some searching of my own and found this image. Hey, sorry if I look really sweaty right now. It's like 90 fucking degrees and my AC stopped working. This segment's gonna be pretty long, so let's go ahead and start with what happened. As you can probably tell, the girl, Milk-chan, is an unreliable narrator, which means it's up to us to figure out what exactly happened and why she is the way she is. When we look at the first game, Milk-chan tells us that her dad died when he jumped out of a window. We're not sure exactly why he died, but the game does try to give us some hints, such as how the other people in the world aren't really monsters, they're more like faceless NPCs in a video game. The closest thing we get to a monster or a supernatural creature is when she encounters her mom. She has a terrifying, almost supernatural appearance and only says very basic phrases. And when we get to the second game, her mom appears as a creature that straight up attacks her. And when we ask her about her dad after clicking the backpack, she describes him as being pretty normal. In the first game, it seems like he committed suicide, but in the second game, it starts to look more like the mom might have killed him. And given the extremely basic and strange way that the mother talks to her, it seems like that might not be in her head. I think that that's the actual mom talking, and that everything we actually see in the game is a stylized version of Milk-chan's perspective, which makes sense because all 5 dreams have their own unique visuals. And the theory that the mom killed the dad makes even more sense when you start to consider that that may have been the source of Milk-chan's PTSD. Or at least that's what I assume she has, given her response to her mom who may have done it, or milk, which is one of the things her dad bought right before he died. Look, I'm really not an expert here, but if I had to take a wild guess and diagnose Milk-chan, I would assume that she has all of these. Which if you think any combination of that is unrealistic, then clearly you haven't met my ex. Look, I get that this is a sensitive subject, but personally I think this game handles it really well, especially since Omori does it in a really shitty way. I think this game blows that subject matter out of the ballpark, mainly because this game actually seems to know what it's talking about. I really hate Omori because it's another one of those
Quirky, Earthbound-inspired RPGs that are actually about mental illness.
and the mental illness in question is just depression.
Look at me, guys, I'm so #relatable.
Meanwhile, this game actually understands and has respect for the subject matter, so I really appreciate that. I also appreciate it because it's not fucking Omori. Anyway, sorry for the long tangent. Anyway, going back on the mental illness thing, I'm assuming that she has post-traumatic stress disorder because of the, well, you know, the whole dad dying and everything. Or autism because she has a hyperfixation on patterns and has like a weird thing with numbers. And this one might be a stretch, but ADHD because of her inability to focus on one thing for a long period of time. And this one's a bit of a stretch, but maybe some variant of Asperger's, just because there's some versions of Asperger's syndrome that resemble autism pretty closely. But like I just said, that's a bit of a stretch. As for the red and black color schemes both games use, I'm assuming that's purely a stylistic choice based off of an interview with another YouTuber.
How do you decide on the world and atmosphere of Milk 1 and 2? Specifically the red and black color palette. It seems to be the most absolute distinctive qualities of these games that focus on two colors.
The game's palette came about entirely by accident, as I went through what I thought were the most unpleasant colors to the eye.
A lot of this game really is up to your own interpretation, so I'm not quite sure if there is a definitive answer for a lot of this. But even with all that being said, I would like to know what circles have to do with anything. Maybe it's supposed to represent like an infinite loop of existing, kind of like the Ouroboros, but I'm not that smart, so I don't really know for sure. But in case you didn't think my theories were long or detailed enough, there's a whole laundry list of fan theories. Like, I'm not even kidding, some of these get into downright schizophrenic levels of speculation. You may fall into existential dread while reading what happens inside a black hole, starting from Spaghetti Effect, ending a... What am I reading? Yeah, maybe she's just afraid of holes because it reminds her of the hole in the window from when her dad jumped out of the window. I don't know, maybe simple answers just aren't enough for people, I guess. Oh shit, it's daytime. I'm not sure if you guys can hear it, but birds immediately started chirping. If this game sounds interesting to you at all, please support the developer, Nikita Kryakov. I'll leave links to both the games in the description. Again, I'm not sponsored. And if you want to support me, then you can either subscribe here or go to my socials. I have a Discord server and a brand new Twitter account. Alright, that day-night cycle is really fucking fast. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. Follow my socials if you haven't already. What else? I don't know, I love you.
Don't never buy no weed from the gas station, bro. If the nigga ain't in your contacts, don't never go to the gas station, bro. I went up there at 11 o'clock last night, tried to give me some weed, bro. I smoked that shit, woke up, my motherfucking eye was right here, and my other eye still right here. Explain, bro. I got to go look for this nigga, bro. What the fuck did you sell me, bro? Look at me, bro. I'm hideous.